Hi everyone! I am super excited to be back for another deck creator interview this time, with Kim from Fables Den. She is the fabulous creator of the Way of the Panda Tarot, which now has 4 editions, I believe. There's the Kickstarter edition, the Dream edition, the Pocket edition, and now also, I believe it's the Imagine edition. Kim, please let me know if I got that wrong. In addition to the fabulous Panda decks, Kim also created the Sparkly Lenormand and the Spread Machine Oracle, which has 2 expansion packs that are absolutely fabulous, and I'm really enjoying working with them. So I'm just holding tight for Kim, and then as soon as she is here, we will start our chat. Thank you so much for everyone who is joining us. This is super exciting. Let me just see if I can find... I think Kim's going to be here momentarily. Yeah, so I'm going to be chatting with Kim about her process for creating the beautiful pandas and all of her other decks too. I'm super curious to see how that process differs from deck to deck. So let me see if I can get Kim queued up here. The wonders of modern technology. There we go. Awesome. Can you all hear me okay? Do I need to bump up the volume at all? Hi, Kim. How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
Excellent. This is so exciting. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank
I
you
have
for inviting me. I don't
oh my
think I've
goodness.
seen you live. I've never seen a footage of you, so this is
I was
exciting.
just thinking that we haven't had a chance to do a live chat yet, so this is
Yeah,
absolutely amazing. I have a lineup of all of your fabulous decks here. Well, actually, I think I left the Dream Edition in the girls' room, but I was just mentioning to everybody that you are the beautiful creatrix of the Way of the Panda Kickstarter edition and Dream edition and Pocket edition, and now you have a 4th edition coming out, which I'm so excited about. It's the Imagine edition. Do I have that right?
yeah, it's the Imagine Edition. It's basically
Oh,
this blue deck or the Dream Edition, but
yeah.
it has a couple of cool like deck upgrades.
Oh, I love that. So yeah, tell me more about what to expect with the newest edition, because I know the box color changed between the Kickstarter and the Dream Edition, and there's 4 cards in this one. There's the Caffeinated Panda, there's the Witchy Panda, there is the Dream Panda, and what's the 4th one in this one?
The Stargazing Panda.
Yes, that's right. How could I
That
forget
one's
it?
for
Absolutely
the
fabulous.
that one's for
Yeah,
the astrologers and the tarot card
yeah.
slingers.
Oh, I love it. I've started incorporating more astrology into my tarot practice, and I just love that reference point. It's so fun. And then, of course, the Way of the Panda little mini edition has the God Fairy Panda, which is amazing. I actually got this one for my son, and he absolutely loves it. And
Oh, I'm
it's
so
funny,
glad.
yeah, because sometimes we'll pick cards together, and then he loves reading through the Book of Pandas because we kind of focus on them as little stories about each of the
Mhm.
cards. Like my kids don't mind tarot, but they're not super into it yet. So I find this is such a great resource because it adds that storytelling element to it. So it's like building on different aspects of yeah, the minor arcana or major arcana, because it all follows kind of a story and sequence. And so being able to use this is such a great reference point, and it really pulls them into that aspect of tarot, which is such a great introduction. Um, so
I'm
yeah,
so happy to hear that. That's so
I'm
awesome.
rambling here. Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
great, and I love how accessible your decks are. Like this is so great for anyone of any age who
Mhm.
is new to tarot or maybe has been practicing for a while. I just love your writing in this book too because it adds so many layers
Thank
to my
you.
understanding of tarot. Like each time I reference it, it gives me such a new and innovative insight into tarot. Like, I'm a guidebook junkie. I have to say, in tarot book,
Too.
like I love when a deck comes with a guidebook. It gives me so much insight into what the creator is thinking when they pull together their visual ideas. And you worked with Celia Labelle for the
Mhm.
Panda deck, right? How did you
Yeah.
guys connect? Like, how did you forge that relationship? Where did the Way of the Panda tarot come from? Like, what was the evolution of that whole process? I'm so curious.
So I literally just found her on Pinterest.
Ooh.
It was super random. So I knew I wanted to make a panda deck. I knew I wanted it to be in watercolor with lots of flowers and fauna, and it's very fresh, very whimsical looking. And I just
Yeah.
started researching tags on social media, like a watercolor panda, and just see what pops
Mhm.
up. And I found one of her illustrations on Pinterest, which is like a panda with peonies around it, and it was just
Oh,
gorgeous. This ink.
yeah.
So I just like found her Facebook, and then I sent her a message and described the project to her, and she was like, "Yes." And
Oh,
then that was it. Like, and then we did the whole thing through email because she's in Spain, she's in Barcelona,
yeah.
and we did the whole thing through email. And we are both like introverted and we're both shy, so I actually never had like a video chat with her. We did the whole thing through email. So that's how I found her. Like, I really just randomly stumbled upon her art on Pinterest, and then I found her. So,
Oh, that's so amazing. I
mhm.
love that modern technology, and gosh, I'm aging myself here, modern technology, but I love that it creates these abilities to connect at great
Mhm,
distance. I mean, obviously with COVID, it's been such a gift to have that connection
mhm.
point. But
Yeah.
even outside of that, like you can work with artists all over the world. You don't have to
Mhm.
be in the same physical location in order to create
Yeah.
something really magical with someone. And
Mhm,
that is so fabulous. Well, I just love how your writing and her art just blends together seamlessly. Like the aesthetic
mhm,
of both aspects of the visual and written word
mhm,
work together so beautifully with this deck. I mean, it really is magical how you've brought them together because there is that element of playfulness and whimsy. And I love that even some of the more traditionally challenging cards, like the Devil card and the Tower, you know, the ones that typically can bring up some stuff, as tarot should, I feel,
mhm,
um, they're still accessible, you know? Like I know that there's I mean, God, there's so many tarot decks now. You can pick a tarot deck for
mhm.
any approach.
Yeah.
And some of them can be quite dark. Like I adore the El Goliath tarot, but that's definitely like a shadow work deck, 100%. But this one I feel is so great for exploring so many different aspects of the tarot. And like I know
Mhm,
you've been talking a lot in your stories and things about
mhm.
inner child work,
Yes.
and feel like this deck would be such a great tool for that because it's gentle and it's supportive and it's
Mhm.
nurturing.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, like what was your intention in your creation of the deck? Like was this um, something that you created as a tool that you would like to use for yourself? Did you have a specific goal in mind in terms of application? Like what was your thoughts as you went through the creative process?
So for Way of the Panda Tarot, I really just created it because I really love tarot and I really love pandas. And in the
Yeah.
very beginning, I didn't put a lot of thought into um, like if it has like a as Loki puts it, like a glorious purpose.
Yeah.
But I think everything we create, especially the ones we really I think like I believe creative projects have, they have souls and they have a spirit, and if
Mm,
you're really invited in, it kind of like becomes its own thing. It's like being in a relationship and you're also like the mother trying to give birth to it. So a lot of
yeah.
magical things can happen, but how I got started was really just I really love pandas and I wanted a panda deck. For myself and obviously
Yeah.
for others, but I just really wanted a panda deck. At the time, there was like another panda deck, but the art wasn't really my cup of tea. It wasn't my aesthetic. So I
Mhm.
thought I should create a deck of my own featuring pandas with
Yeah.
watercolor. And that
Oh,
got started.
100%.
Um, and I knew like pandas, I just wanted to infuse everything that is panda into this deck, like
Mhm.
everything that a panda represents, but
Yeah.
even now, I'm discovering there's just more things to learn, like from the pandas. This is
Mhm.
definitely a journey. But yeah, like inner child work, pandas are just so playful. I think they're just a really great animal to do inner child work with. I think animals in general are good for inner
Yeah.
child work, but especially the cuter animals. I think they're just,
Mhm.
it just reminds you of plushies. And I think children are very
Mhm.
connected with animals. So it's good for
Mhm.
inner child work. And yeah. But I remember in the very beginning, I was like a little rebellious because I remember when I was kind of talking about this deck with everyone, and everyone was like, is this like a Zen deck? Is this like a Taoist deck? Because pandas are Asian, right? So there was
Mhm.
that a bit of a stereotype around pandas. But I was like,
Yeah.
a little bit of that because I grew up Buddhist in the towers, so it kind of trickled into the deck, but it wasn't that. Like I wanted to reimagine pandas in this whimsical universe where they wear witches hats and
Mhm.
they ride like a motorbike with wings on it.
Mhm. I
So it's
love
like
that chariot card so much. It's fabulous.
I know that's Victor. I think Victor is like everyone's favorite. A lot of people get the duck just for Victor,
Oh,
just to see a
amazing.
panda on like a bike. But yeah, I really got started because I really love pandas and I needed a deck that's in watercolor that is pandas. So that's
Yeah.
how that is the once upon a time.
I think there's a lot of power in creating what you want to see.
Mhm.
Like setting the intention, if there's something that you feel like you personally want to work with, bringing life to that, I think is such a magical process because it's like so many of the things that I've created over the years that I felt good about were things that I wanted to see. Do you know what I mean? And it's like it's
Yeah.
nice to create something with an intention for someone else, but setting the intention to just flow so much creative energy into
Mhm.
something that you're super passionate about. I mean, it can take a
Yeah.
life of your own. Like you said, there's this whole process that comes
Mhm.
together, and the end result can be very different from what you originally intended, or maybe it's the same, but it takes a life of its own, and it
Mhm.
becomes something really magical.
Mhm.
I didn't even realize this was here, but I have my daughter's little panda. She had this when she was like, she's now 12. She had this when she was 2, and this is officially Kung Fu Panda. We actually have a series of family photos that feature Kung
Aw,
Fu
it's
Panda.
so cute.
So, yeah, it was pretty fun. Um, yeah, there's something so warm and reassuring about pandas and their
Yeah.
energy, their flow, and it's like there's a sense of taking your time with things and nothing's
Mhm.
too rushed. And there's
Mhm.
this, yeah, it really forces you to be present in the moment. I've got
Yeah.
3 kids, and I find they've taught me so much about, especially when they're really little, but even now about being fully present. They're not
Yeah.
distracted by their phone. They're not distracted by their
Mhm.
to-do list or the 10 billion things they feel they have to do. It's
Yeah.
like there's a sense of presence with it that's really magical. I
Yeah,
really
for sure.
appreciate, yeah, how much
Um,
of that you've put into that deck, and like just all
yeah.
the different insights. And I love the Hierophant is a card that I've traditionally struggled a little bit with. I've kind of made
Same.
my peace with it.
Same.
Yeah, but I think moving into a Hierophant year was really helpful for that.
Mhm.
But I just love how you've depicted it in the deck where there's information coming in one side and then this rainbow coming out the other
Mhm.
side. And that's that whole
Yeah.
idea of taking that information and then creating it into something really magical
Mhm.
and unique to you, right? There's a lot of power in that. That's really, really cool.
Yeah, I think when you're like a spiritual rebel trying to find your own path, the Hierophant card is always a little iffy because it just
Yeah.
represents the traditional structure and the culture and society. It just,
Mhm.
but I think at its core, Hierophant is really like, um, it's like like a teacher card, right? I kind of see the Hierophant as a teacher, and I had like the whole thing with Hierophant because I had experiences with a lot of bad teachers in the past and growing
Mhm.
up in an Asian education and stuff like that. Well, just the elementary school, but that was enough.
Yeah.
So I wanted to portray a Hierophant where he's definitely very full of knowledge and he
Mhm.
knows all the tradition and culture, but he's not there to enforce it. He's there to kind of tell you about it, encourage you to make your own decisions, and
Mhm.
he's there as a resource and a guide if you need him, but it's definitely very like I'm like the Hierophant vibe is like I know a lot, like proud of it, but it's like I want you to embark on your own path and find your own
Yeah.
truth. So
Yeah.
that's very important for me, like when it comes to the Hierophant card. It's also one of my
Yeah.
favorite stories in the guidebook, the
Mhm.
Hierophant.
Oh, it's so
Like
great.
he's preachy and snobby, but he's like still very respectful of what you want to do and what you want to learn. So
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I think one of the things that really helped me in working with that card is looking at it as an exchange. Like it's not
mhm,
just this top-down approach where someone's dictating to you what you need to learn or what you need to know, but there's this sense of I homeschool my kids and I find so much of what I learn, well, I learn as much from them as I teach. Like there's this
mhm,
sense of exchange, and I think if you
yeah.
can stay open to that, then it creates this really amazing, yeah, exchange of knowledge
Mhm,
and back and forth. And I feel like everyone
yeah.
benefits from that because it's kind of expands all of your understanding, which is really,
Mhm,
really
for
cool.
sure.
Yeah, I love that approach with that card. It's really fantastic.
Mhm,
So you also created this amazing spread machine, although I think you're debating about changing the title, right? Did
I'm
you reach a
pretty sure I'm
feedback?
going to rename it into Spread
Yeah.
Crafters Oracle. It's
Ooh, I
sort of
love
like
that.
I think it captures the essence of Spread Machine. It still has that
Yeah.
productivity workhorse deck vibe, but
Yeah.
I think it fits with the rainbow aesthetic more. I feel like
Hmm.
Spread
I love
Machine
that.
was kind of like an inside joke and that nobody was getting.
I love that
But yeah.
though. And like, so when it comes to creating decks, I'm guessing, correct me if I'm wrong, that with the different editions that you've brought out, there's a sense of like evolution and change. Like, I mean, the first couple of editions were fairly similar, but then there's little variations. So,
Yeah.
as a creator, do you think it's possible to ever reach the end, or do you think it's a current state of evolution, or like how do you see it in terms of your creations? Like, I love that you've decided on a new name for this, and I think it fits beautifully. I mean, I
Yeah.
love Spread Machine also, but it's great because I feel like the Spread Crafter is also gives the person using it that agency, you know what I mean, to create
Yeah.
something with it, which is really quite magical.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was a very roundabout way of asking a question, but yeah, do you feel like it's possible to reach an endpoint with a creative project, or does it
Um,
constantly shift or change, or yeah,
mm, I think so, but for me, definitely like it's not over yet. Because I know a
yeah,
lot of decorators would decide that, oh, this is the last print, I want to move on to something else. So I think that could definitely happen because if you're a creative person, you want to be always moving forward and creating new
yeah,
things. So, but for me, definitely like we have the Panda Tarot and all the decks I've created, there's it's definitely still ongoing. They're still very much part of the fellowship on my creative adventures. And with each edition, with each printing, I like to explore different things. I like to tweak different things, try out different paper and box
yeah,
boxes and stuff like that. It's also like it's partially like for fun and also just wanting to improve the deck. Ever
mhm.
since I did the magnetic clasp box for Spread Machine or Spread Crafters, I'm just like I'm not going back to the top down box because this is
Yeah,
dreamy. Like it's like a storybook.
oh, I love it.
I I know some people are just like I don't care for boxes, but I do, and I'm gonna
Yeah,
have amazing boxes on my decks.
yeah. Oh,
So
it makes such a
yeah.
difference having a good
Mhm.
box. Like
Mhm.
honestly,
Yeah.
I love that. Like I don't mind the top down, but the magnetic
Mhm.
opening, like, you're right, it's like opening a book and
Yeah.
creating a new adventure, right? Just
Mhm.
like I love that so
Yeah.
much.
You
So
get this
you have
extra space to put the
oh
buttons on it. It's like a
oh I
little
love
like
that.
book
That looks
sleeve.
a lot like the spread cloth that you have for the Kickstarter campaign, I think.
Uh-huh.
Oh no, it's different. The
It's
colors are
different, but
similar.
it's
Yeah.
silly as line art. This is actually
Yeah.
all like little motifs from the little guidebook from inside the deck.
Oh,
I just put it together into like a seamless pattern.
oh, I love that so much. That looks great. So, and the new deck has edging on it too, right? What is
Mhm.
it, like a light green?
Ooh. Okay, let me take it out and show it to you
Ooh, I
guys.
love the finish. Yeah.
It's bamboo green because pandas.
Ooh, yeah.
Just so that's the edge.
Oh, beautiful.
There's a few white cards in there because I took out the bonus cards from my old Kickstarter edition to
Yeah,
put it in here so I can use them. But
yeah.
that's the
Oh, that's so
bamboo mat.
great. That's such a beautiful
It's the
finish.
back.
Yeah. That really complements the backs of the cards too. Like it just pulls the color. That's really beautiful.
Yeah, I
Oh,
was
amazing.
considering doing a pink edge for the baby panda tarot for the reprint, but
Yeah.
I was like, I think that's gonna go against the back, so I just stuck with green for the baby panda as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's gorgeous. So then the extra bonus card that you have in the new Imagine edition, I'd love to hear more about it and how you chose
Ooh,
that particular panda and what the inspiration was.
okay, let me find it and show it to you guys. So that's the new bonus card,
Oh,
Imagination
goodness.
Station.
Oh, I love it.
So for the previous edition, it's other than the three exclusive bonus cards from the Kickstarter edition, like the
Mhm.
regular edition was called Dream Edition, right? And it has
Mhm.
the bonus card Dream Space. An
Mhm.
imagination station is kind of like extension of that dream energy because Way of the Panda Tarot was the first deck that I've ever created, and it was the first Kickstarter campaign I did. There was just a lot of dream launching into space energy, and I
Yeah.
really wanted to kind of just infuse that into the deck. And so for this edition, I did Imagination Station. So it's still like very much dream energy, like anything is possible, but it's sort of like going from dream space, which is like what's in your heart, like what is that
Yeah.
space that is your dreams, and really tuning into it, to imagination station where you're more actively visualizing and writing down and planning and
Mhm.
gonna go make it happen, gonna working on the details of what you're manifesting. So it's still part of that dream process, and it um yeah, so it's kind of like a different stage of dreaming, but still very, very much dream manifesting energy.
Oh, I love that so much. It's amazing. So the new edition is up on your website for
Mhm.
pre-orders, right? When's your
Yeah,
official launch date for that?
it's uh, I guess it's technically launched. I'm just waiting because I need to wait for the decks to get to the fulfillment center, and then but I know it's being delivered next Monday, so decks are gonna
Oh,
ship out next week. So it's like next week, I guess. I don't have a specific date, but it's like next
yeah.
week.
Oh,
The all the pre-orders will be going out, and it's gonna be really exciting.
yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Congrats. That's so
Yeah,
awesome.
it's technically
Um,
launched because if you order
yeah,
Panda with Spread Machine Oracle, I'm still shipping them from my house. So
yeah,
it's kind of happening already. It's just I have to wait for
yeah.
the decks to arrive at the fulfillment center. So
Oh, fantastic.
yeah, so
So
it's technically.
where do you get your decks printed? Like what was the whole process of choosing? Because I know there's so many different options available
Yeah.
now in terms of where and how to get things printed. So how did you go about choosing where to print from and all of that, all of those details?
Mhm. So I think I got pretty lucky. The first printer I talked to was WJ, Wanjing Playing Cards, WJPC. You guys can look them up. Like they're just amazing. And I actually didn't get to talk to other printers because a friend of mine introduced me to the printer. And I've just been so happy with them that I didn't really switch. And I haven't actually looked into, or actually, I did look into a few other printers, but they gave me bad vibes.
Mhm. That's
So
important, to work with somebody that you trust and feel good
yeah.
about. Like it makes a big difference, right?
Mhm. Yeah, like they call me, this is not WJ, this is a different printer. They call me by the wrong name, and they had like some shady business with other deck
Mm,
creators. And I don't know, it was just a little bad
yeah.
rap here and there, so I didn't go with them. But I'm just really happy to have found
Mhm.
WJ. I've been printing my decks with WJ. All my decks are printed with them, and my sales rep, Hannah, is amazing. She's just the best.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it makes the difference. And I mean, the quality of the cards that you have is perfect. Like there's really no need to look elsewhere because everything like the finishing and the boxes and the
Mhm.
cards themselves, like everything is really, really lovely. So I'm so curious also to ask you about the sparkly Lenormand
Ooh,
because I know that this was kind of I think you'd mentioned it was a bit of a side project you started working on a while back and then it all just
yeah,
kind of came
that one
together.
just came out. Um, so I was finishing up with the production and printing stuff with Square Machine, and that was really stressful. Like,
Mhm.
you know how like when you embark on a creative journey from start to production, like
Yeah.
overall, I still loved it, but it's just there are like difficult parts of the journey, like the really technical aspects.
Hmm.
That's always challenging. Like, I also want to put it out there, like if you're embarking on a creative project, like it's all in all joy, but it doesn't have to be all joy.
Yeah.
Some parts can suck, and that
Yeah.
doesn't have to reflect on how you feel about the project, or you know what I mean? Like some parts can suck, but overall it's still like it could still be a good thing. You
Yeah.
don't have to use that as a, don't let that deter you from creating whatever it is that you're creating. Like some parts are gonna suck, and that is okay. So when during the part that was sucking, which was a lot of technical stuff, a lot of color
Yeah.
adjustments, corrections,
Hmm.
it was just like a pain in the butt. So I just needed to let off some steam. I just started doodling on my iPad, and I actually had some like pre like doodles from my early days when I first got started with digital drawing. I actually started working on a Lenormand deck because you know how Lenormand deck is kind of like a drawing challenge. It's like
Yeah,
every
yeah,
card is a prompt, so it's
yeah.
very kind of easy to get into. So I took out some of my old drawings and I revamped them and just started getting into it. And every time I finished with Spread Machine, all the technical stuff, I would just be drawing and doodling because I needed to just switch on my brain, just draw something and just let
Yeah.
the art come out. And then before I knew it, I finished the deck. I was like, oh, this is actually done. And I was just about to submit all the print files to my printer. And I was like, well, might as well print this deck.
Yeah.
So I just did it at the same time. And this deck literally just came out. It was like a creative vomit. It's
That's
just,
that's the best kind though. I feel like when you hit a groove with something, there's an ease of flow to it that helps things come together kind of
mhm,
almost in spite of themselves. Like not in spite of themselves, but
mhm.
it's a fluid process. Like I know I think it was similar for Chris Ann when she did the Muse Tarot because that kind of came at the same time as a Light Seers, and I know it wasn't necessarily planned, but it was something that she felt inspired to do. And I often think about that because I think when you don't resist and you ease into the flow of something, then it can come together in really kind of surprising and magical ways. I just
Yeah.
love the whimsy of this deck. Like it's very,
Mhm.
this is another one that my kids were super excited about because
That's
the
awesome. Also,
imagery
I love the
really
Muse
resonated
Tarot.
with them. Another panda, I love it.
It's
It's so
only a
great.
little panda invested. And also,
And the
I saw someone
oh,
comment that asking for a guidebook. A guidebook is coming, guys.
that's so
For
exciting.
Sparkly Letterman, but I'm not writing it because I feel like I don't know Letterman well enough to write a guidebook. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I asked someone very awesome to write it for me. It's sort of a secret for now, but a guidebook is coming. I'm also adding a lot of bonus cards because I got a lot of feedback. People are asking for some gender neutral cards and cards that could
Yeah.
make the deck more inclusive. I
Yeah.
didn't think of it at the time because, you know, I just kind of vomited out the deck,
Yeah.
but I'm definitely going to include some bonus cards and also gender neutral,
Wow.
like more inclusive cards, and also a
Wow.
guidebook for the future for the next print. So I
Oh,
gotta,
that's
yeah,
amazing. I'm so excited. That's
yeah,
wonderful. Yeah, because I've just been using, I know Labyrinthos has a really great website
mhm,
resource where they do like the pairings of different cards.
mhm,
I am relatively new to Lenormand and I found trying to pick a single card didn't flesh out the story enough. So I started
yeah,
picking two and
mhm,
I'm still so new. So I find having that reference point is really good. And Rana George has an amazing, I think it's called The Essential Lenormand. So those have been kind of my two resources. But I'm so thrilled that you're coming out with a guidebook because that's going to
uh-huh,
be amazing. And
yeah,
referencing someone who's really well versed in Lenormand is such a smart option because
mhm,
that adds that extra layer of understanding to
mhm,
your beautiful cards, and that's going to be amazing. Oh, I'm so
mhm.
excited. That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
me
Um,
too.
and I just wanted to comment on how much I love the edging of this deck too, because it's
Ooh.
that pink and it's like
So I
obviously
found the official name from Pantone. It's called Rose Quartz.
oh,
And I
that's
was
so
like, oh my
amazing.
God, it's this.
Yeah,
I was looking for a shade of pink. And I
yeah,
didn't want to be too pink. I wanted to be
yeah,
like kind of peachy pink. And then I saw the
yeah.
Pantone and it's like rose quartz pink. I was like, oh, rose quartz. This is
Oh my
it. So
gosh,
that's what
that's amazing.
I love
Oh,
the
I love it so
Pantone.
much. That's incredible. Yeah, I feel like edging isn't necessary, but it adds a
Mhm.
little finishing touch to things. That's
Yeah,
really lovely.
same.
Yeah, like extra special. So I'm so curious to know what differed in your process with the Panda deck, and I know the Sparkly Lenormand came out in a flow, which is so amazing. And then the spread machine, like what was
Uh-huh.
your approach with this? What inspired this deck? I know you have a fantastic course that accompanies it that is just a
Mhm.
wonderful resource.
Mhm.
But yeah, what was your process with this deck? Because I know you also have the two expansion packs that are
Uh-huh.
super exciting. Um, I'm gonna finish talking and just let you let me know about this because I'm
No
rambling because I'm
worries.
so excited. This is like awesome.
So spread machine was definitely a bit more like an engineering process. Way of the
Mhm.
Panatero, it was more like creative writing. It was like
Yeah.
creating the story world of pandas um and populating it with different archetypes and then fusing it with tarot. So it was more like a creative writing artist type of journey. Sperm Machine was more like I was the engineer and architect. It was more systematic because I had to figure out the structure, the different prompts, and it's more text heavy,
Mhm.
stuff like that. But I really did enjoy like the doing all the background because it's just brainless watercolor. I can just let my
Um,
intuition take over for that part.
yeah. Well,
Um,
the cards are all so lovely. Like I just love the different tones that you've used
Thank
and
you.
um yeah, I mean there's so many purples, but then there's also I love that you have a quick start guide with it too
Mhm.
as a quick reference. I mean the guidebook is fantastic, but it's nice when you're just kind of grabbing the deck to go to be able to look at that. It's really really great. And I love the different themes that you've included too. So how did you break down the different categories for this deck?
Um, let's see. How did I do that? Um, I think I was brainstorming different categories and I just kind of did it through process of elimination. I'm just, I don't want this. I can merge these two.
Yeah.
Um, and I think I was just sort of analyzing like the spreads that are already out there. What are some of the common kind of spread position types?
Mm-hmm.
Usually there's one that represents the seeker. So I created a seeker category where that's just all about you and your character.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want to incorporate a lot of personal growth and spiritual development concepts. So I made light work and shadow work
Mm-hmm.
because it's about, you got to have light work and shadow work because it's the balance, or you can just have one, not the
Yeah.
other. So I
Really.
think that balance is important. So I want those two categories.
Mm-hmm.
And then what else? And then I did call to action because I just thought like a lot of action cards can really add a lot of momentum in a
Yeah.
reading. I think I just did it based on like how do I want to feel at the end of a reading? So I want to
Mm-hmm.
highlight these things. I want a spread or a reading to have a sense of momentum. So I did action cards. Oh, and for the focus area cards, it was actually a completely different category. I think I
Oh,
did like I actually had a category where it's like past, present, and future, why,
mhm.
when, kind of like the question tags, more like reference
Yeah.
category. But I got rid of it because I thought like, well, I think we can just assume that most people know about past, present, and
Mhm.
future. I don't think I need to
Pretty
make
classic
three
spread.
cards for it. And I
Yeah.
just thought I could, just maybe just skip that and just bring something unique to the deck instead of just having these. I think they'll still be useful. I might do another expansion packs with just those.
Ooh, that's so
but
exciting.
uh, but that's how the all the categories happen, how I figure them out. I think just
Hmm.
thinking about how I want the experience to be like,
Hmm.
after I do a reading.
Hmm. That's awesome. Yeah, I love that there's so many different categories. Like I'm often um, curious about whether to divide it into categories or shuffle everything together. And I love that the deck leaves space for you to take multiple different approaches when you're crafting something. Because I know for one particular spread that I put together, it was like a house hunting spread that somebody was curious about. And so I took out specific categories that seemed to fit within the context of that. And so I
Mhm.
actually sought out specific cards, but then there's something really nice about the fluid process of shuffling and seeing what comes out and what
Yeah.
you can craft using those
Mhm.
elements.
Yeah.
Amazing. I also love, love, love this edging. You can't really tell the difference because of the sun coming in, but it's almost more
It's
of a
like a
lilac
Yeah, it's
tone.
like a lilac
Yeah,
purple. It was
yeah,
gonna be
I love
pink.
it.
It was
Yeah.
gonna be rose gold, but
Hmm.
because I changed color scheme,
Yeah.
like after the campaign, because it was having some technical issues and I had to redo the whole color palette. That was
Hmm.
a
I
kind of
remember
like a
that. Yeah.
blessing and a nightmare because I'm so
Yeah.
glad I did that. But at the same time, it was just I had to do it in a short period of time, and that was incredibly stressful. Not doing that again. Like I'm glad I did it, but not again. Never again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Well,
was
the
gonna
card
be
backs were
it was gonna be pink, but
phenomenal.
it became lilac because the card back became sort of like a more galaxy themed color.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I love how it
a
works
bit more.
together.
Uh-huh.
Beautiful. Yeah, it works. the color tones that you picked for the backs, for the deck books, like for everything, it just works so beautifully together. And I'm curious about the expansion packs. So how did those come to be? How did you pick a theme? Because I know with a quest, it's almost like not really a video game, but I guess maybe a little bit, like that whole idea of the hero's journey and
Yeah.
exploration. Like I was almost thinking about like what's the name of that video game from back in the 80s? I'm dating myself, but it was like Link or
Legend
something.
of Zelda.
Yeah,
Is
that's
it?
it. Legends of Zelda.
Oh my God, I'm
My brain's
literally
not
playing
working.
that right now on my
Oh
Switch.
my gosh,
I'm
that's
playing
amazing.
Link's Awakening. It's like the cute version where Link is like tiny.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I think it's a remake of the Game Boy version, but they made it to
Oh, I
Switch
love
with
that.
like revamped graphics and everything. But yeah.
Oh my gosh, I need to go. I was a huge fan of like Mario
Mhm,
Kart and Mario everything. Basically, back in the day,
mhm,
we didn't have a game system, but my cousins
mhm,
did. So every time I go to Toronto to visit them, it was like the big
mhm,
thing to have these like huge epic Mario battles.
mhm.
But this reminds me of that whole, um, yeah, the whole
Yeah.
quest and exploration
Mhm.
and yeah. So, um, I mean, I guess that's a kind of self-explanatory. What inspired this deck? Probably all of those
My
kind of
love of
structures.
gaming and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and I love gamifying. I just think
Oh,
gamification is, or gaming in general, it's just
mm,
such an amazing metaphor for personal growth. And there's a lot
yes.
of spiritual concepts that fit
Hmm.
really well with gaming. For example, like you want to choose the avatar for the game, like which part of yourself you
Yeah.
want to bring forward.
Hmm.
I want to do like a whole video series on self-love using character
Yeah.
selection, right?
Oh my
It's
gosh,
like
that's fantastic.
right? It's like let's say you're born into a mage, but you keep trying
Yeah.
to take on like I don't know, maybe stealth quests,
Yeah.
but it's not really respecting the stats that you have as a character. It's like you're
Yeah.
trying to live your life by trying to be someone else, but you're not living your life based on the potential and strength that you have because of your character. So I can
Yeah.
talk about self-love using that as a big metaphor.
Oh, I love that so
Um,
much.
Yeah,
That's
so I started
amazing.
making Quest because I
Oh,
love gamification. I wanted to just
yeah.
incorporate all the concepts from gaming. And gaming has a lot of story elements too, like the hero's journey, like what you said. Um, yeah, I could write a book on this. I want to. I do want to write a book on this
Yeah.
someday down the road. Not right now because I'm working on something else, but I'm
Yeah.
definitely writing a book on leveling
Oh,
up in life and that and all that good stuff.
oh, I love that so much. We just watched the rock versions of Jumanji with the kids. So I guess they're technically the two sequels to the original Robin Williams, but there's so much to be said for picking your character and your avatar and the personal growth that each of the characters goes through over the course of the film, embodying the different characters and the different
Mhm.
aspects of themselves that they really weren't in
Yeah.
connection prior to that.
Hmm.
There's something so powerful. I mean, I know it's a big budget action film, but there's also a real hero's journey and arc that happens
Yeah.
over the course of it. And then when they come back
Hmm.
for the second film and they're embodying a different persona,
Yeah.
or most of them are at least, it brings out different aspects of themselves. And there's
Hmm.
something really powerful about that.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
I was thinking about that when I pulled this out. I'm like, oh,
Uh-huh.
Jumanji, different character
Yeah.
type. Really, I
I just
think,
love the cast of Jumanji.
oh my gosh,
Rock,
yes.
The
Oh
Rock,
my
Dwayne
gosh,
Johnson, and Kevin
yes.
Hart. It's like you
Oh,
can tell they
so
really
good.
love each other as friends, but they always
Mhm.
roasting each other is the most
Yeah.
like that's so hilarious.
Oh, it's so perfect. I think the sign of a really good friendship is to have that. I mean, not with every friendship, they're all different, but having that
Yeah.
levity, that
Hmm.
ability to joke and like push each other's buttons in a really loving
Yeah.
way. And there's so
Uh-huh.
much power to that. And that sense of play. Like my
Hmm.
partner, I kind of lost track of my inner child a long time ago, and I got very like into doing life.
Hmm.
Um, but I, like you, I've been embarking on a lot of inner child work, and I find there's such power in embracing that sense of play and doing
Yeah.
something just for the sense of doing it because it brings you enjoyment, right? It's not part of
Hmm.
your to-do list. It's not part of
Yeah.
adulting. It's something
Hmm.
completely separate, right? And there's
Yeah.
something really to be said for that. I love it. And then your change deck. Oh my gosh. I think of the three, this is my personal favorite. Like I
Hmm.
absolutely love, I mean, just the color to, oh, and I love the silver edging for this as well. It's beautiful. Um, but I just love the colors that you've picked. And also, I mean, these backs, oh my goodness, they're just amazing. And I love that each of the decks is connected and there's a through line, but they're each unique and
Mhm.
special in their own kind of entity. Like
Yeah.
this is just awesome. And
Yeah, they
some
can
of,
be standalones.
yeah, some of these cards are, I mean, the shadow work cards are heavy hitting for sure. Like
Yeah,
it's
that
not,
one is like the main deck has a lot of shadow work aspects, but
mm,
that deck and a lot of people have told me like they use the change deck. They're just like that one is if you want to do like deep, heavy shadow
mhm,
work.
mhm,
I think I
absolutely.
designed it to be very like an excavating. You have nowhere to hide.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
because
it's important to have that those resources, right? Because shadow work, I feel, um, it can be a very nurturing process, you know. And I think having something like this that's so aesthetically beautiful and yet doesn't necessarily pull punches, it's such a great entry point into doing that kind of work. Like it feels very nurturing and very supportive, but you're still getting where you need to go. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like it's really helping with that process. Yeah, I blame it on my Scorpio moon, but I love this kind of stuff. Like I love taking the deep dive into all the things, right?
yeah,
Um,
me too. I think
yeah.
I have Taurus moon, so I eat my
Okay.
feelings, and
Yes.
I have Cancer rising though, so there's like a.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's the part of me that likes to go deeper into my emotions.
Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. And I didn't show off the edging for the quest.
Hmm.
It's so beautiful.
It's
I
like a
love that.
copper bronze.
Yeah, the copper bronze and then the silver. It's so lovely. So tell me a little bit. I have it and I've been working on it, but
Hmm.
anyone who hasn't done your course that goes along with this, can you tell me a
Hmm.
little bit more about that?
Like the spread machine
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
Okay, so I created a course way before I made the deck.
Mhm.
So that course isn't like a companion course to the deck. Like it doesn't teach you how to use the deck or
Mhm.
walk you through the deck. I think like there was this one really upset customer who messaged me. She's like, I thought this was a companion course and I finished the course, but you didn't talk about your deck. And I was like, oh, sorry, I'll update the listing. But so it's not like meant for the deck, but
Yeah.
it's about square crafting. So it's like it
Yeah.
will complement the deck really well. It's
Mhm.
basically a course that walks you through like basically making a spec from scratch,
Mhm.
and it teaches you how to look at the type of spreads that you like, and it teaches you how to modify spreads and create your own general spread. If you don't know what to ask, you can just whip out your personalized general spread. It
Mhm.
teaches you how to make more like themed spreads, like if you want to make geeky spreads like Harry Potter spread,
Mhm.
or um, like it basically enables you to make whatever spread that you love, because sometimes
Yeah.
we look for a spread or we want to be like, I wonder if there's like a cereal spread, or there's
Mhm.
like I don't know, like a spread for a TV show that I really love, but that you can't find it on the internet. Well, you can just make it yourself and just use it and
Yeah.
share it with your friends, or if you have like a social media, you can post it as well. It's just like a fun creative outlet. So the course will teach you how to make spreads, and there's just a lot of like it's not like, oh, you have to make spread in this way. It's more like, here are all the different possibilities and ways that you can make a spread, and this is just like all in your arsenal kind of thing. And I have
Yeah.
two bonus chapters. One is for like if you're like a professional tarot reader, it'll teach you how to create your own tarot spread to help you with your
Mhm.
brand and create your offerings. And another bonus chapter for like if you're a deck creator, you can create original spreads to go with your original deck and to really just enhance the experience. It's all
Yeah.
about spread crafting. It's super nerdy.
Oh, it's fabulous. I've just dipped my toes in so far, but I love how you've structured it because it does have that freeform application where it's for your own use. Like it's not prescriptive so much as it's allowing you to discover the process for yourself. It gives you the
Yeah.
tools to be able to learn. And I think that that is so valuable because it's giving you the freedom to explore and to figure out what works for you as an individual, not just a general kind of prescription, right? Which
Mhm.
I think is fabulous. And you also
Yeah.
have I just have to geek out for a moment and or
Mhm.
fangirl out for a moment. Your court card course
Mhm.
is incredible.
Thank
Like I
you.
know court
I'm
card,
very proud of
oh,
it. Thank you.
it's phenomenal. It is so good because I did it right at the point where I mean I started going deeper into tarot probably over the past 5 years. I took a really deep dive. I've been reading for
Mhm.
about 12 years,
Yeah.
give or take. But I found the court cards always stymied me. And I think that's true
Yeah.
for a lot of people because I
It's a
think there's,
weird category.
yeah, it's this traditional view of it's this person in your life and they have brown hair or they have red hair and they have this persona.
I
But
hate
I
that.
found, oh my gosh, it drives me nuts. And I
Really?
was like, what am I supposed to do with this, right?
I know.
But oh, it's yeah, but then I found your course and I found it was such an amazing tool to look at the different elements for each category and the different roles. Like the queen is a nurturer, but then it manifests in different ways through the different suits.
Yeah.
And I love that you set it up so it's not just this is this suit and the court cards, but you actually look at it as a cross comparison with
Mhm.
the pages from each of the categories. Like I found what you included and that was so helpful in expanding my understanding
Mhm.
of court cards, and
Mhm.
now I feel like I have so much more fluidity in terms of how I use those
Mhm.
cards and how I apply them to my own personal experience,
Mhm.
because I think that's the magic of these court cards is that they all reflect an aspect of yourself. It
Mhm.
could be someone else, but it's
Yeah.
also, I think all of us embody all of the court cards at different times, and so when they come up, being able to embrace that energy is something that you need to focus on or could maybe
Mhm.
tamp down a little bit if the Knight of Swords keeps coming up frequently and that needs
Yeah.
to be applied in different ways, or
Mhm.
proceed with caution or whatever. It's yeah, so I just wanted to let you know how much I appreciate that course and how phenomenal it is, because it really opened up my understanding of tarot in a really
Mhm.
special way. So thank you for that. And
God.
for anyone
That
watching,
means
it's
a
an
lot to
amazing
me.
course.
Thank you.
Check it out. Yeah, because that is an area of tarot that I think a lot of people struggle with, right? Because there are the more traditional archetypes.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I know that's amazing. Really, really great. So I love that you're coming up with the Lenormand guidebook. That's amazing. I'm so excited about all the things. So, what was your process with writing the Book of Pandas?
Mhm.
How did you break everything down and approach it? Like you said earlier, that it was more of a creative writing approach, which,
Mhm.
as a fellow writer, I love that so much.
Mhm.
I feel like I also love what you said about following a creative process, because I think sometimes when you have a set idea of how things should be, that can get in the way of the creative process.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm going to quit talking now and let you.
It's okay.
I get so excited and then I'm like,
No, that's fun. I love hearing I love hearing like what you have to say.
oh my god.
That's kind of narcissistic, but I don't mind. It's like, talk about my deck some more. Well,
Okay.
for the for the book, um, so like what you said, like originally when I had a different approach for Book of Pandas. I actually wanted to be very like almost scholarly and academic. I wanted to break down the symbolism. I wanted to
Yeah.
be really meticulous about like, ooh, on this card, like I chose this color because it
Yeah.
symbolizes blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And I think I wrote over 100 pages for like using kind of just going down that road, and it was just the hardest 100 something pages I've ever written because it felt so unnatural. Something didn't feel
Mm-hmm.
right. It was too left brained
Mm-hmm.
and it just didn't really fit with the spirit of the deck, and I didn't want to keep going. My body was fighting it, so I knew I had to kind of change course. So I took a little break, and then I went back and I started experimenting with just writing it out as a story and just
Yeah.
maybe mention symbolism when it comes up and not just make it like a super, I don't know. I just feel like if I actually stuck with the original course, it's gonna be so boring. Like, it's like
Yeah.
I don't even want to reread it. Like, why would I write something? Like why?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, why would I write something I don't even want to read, right? So I want to, so I took the storytelling approach, and I think when that click happened, everything just flowed. I did not have writer's block. I just finished the book from beginning to end, and it was, and I really had fun making it like, you know how J.K. Rowling did like the textbook, and she
Mhm.
published the textbooks in the story as actual books, right? And
Yeah.
they and the an edition that I have has like scribbles from Ron and
Yeah.
Harry
We
Potter.
have that one too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I was like, I
That's
really
so
like
much.
the idea. So I just made the guidebook into like, you can also see snippets of what these pandas are up to. Like if you go to
Yeah.
Luke's page, Ace of Pentacles, you'll see his
Yeah.
like album list
Yeah.
and you see little cute quotes. It's like the pandas are kind of chiming in. Oh, and
Yeah.
then literally like in the Suit of Swords, the air pandas literally fought for my keyboard. So there's a lot of like breaking the fourth wall meta jokes in
Yeah.
there. I had a lot of fun, and I actually wanted to like include some extra sections and beef it up even more. I was like, I could write it in like 3 weeks and release it in May. This was like back in like March. That didn't happen. Like I was like, oh my God, Kim, you're human. Stop. Like
Yeah.
you don't have this much time. Just take it easy. But yeah, like it was the process of like having this expectation of what it needed to be and what it needed to look like. I think I just wanted to like impress people with how smart I am. You know, sometimes you do that. I'm just like, I'm not just cute and whimsical. I'm also very,
Yeah.
very, 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 no, like, like, but I was like, you know what? That's not, it's so like, that was too extra. Like, that was like me trying too hard. So I'm just like, I'm just going to do what I love, which is
And
telling a story and being playful with it.
yes, and that's incredible. And that's honestly what I love so much about the book, because there's a lot of technical tarot books out there, and that's wonderful. But your sense of play and the sense of joy that you experience, and each of the personalities of the pandas comes out so beautifully.
Hmm.
And it really sets itself apart as something different and unique and really special. And it gives an entry point into tarot that's not technical, and it's not, I mean, there is technical elements, and I really appreciate what you've included, but it brings a sense of levity to it that is much needed, right? Like I
Hmm.
have a master's in theater studies, and I'm very familiar with technical writing, and that was very much a part of my process. And it's taken me a long time to disconnect myself from that and find that sense of play and find that sense of whimsy. And so I respect that
Hmm.
so much, because there's this
Oh, I
whole
know what
kind
you're talking about. Like
yeah, the
it's
process
from
with that, right?
school, I
Yeah,
think that's why I wanted to
yeah.
write academically because I,
Mhm.
from all the university and all
Yeah,
the English papers I have to do.
yeah. You got to
Yeah,
check your resources. You got to cite everything. You know, the formatting, like everything,
oh my
right? Like
God, the
it's
citations.
taken
I have to
me
keep
years to let go of that. You know, it's amazing how ingrained that gets in your
I
mind. Like it's
know,
not.
citations are so stupid. Your professors
Yeah,
don't even read that shit. Like, right?
I know.
It's like, who
It's like
reads this?
it doesn't need to be technical writing in order to
Mhm.
be valid, in order to be even intellectual. Like I've gained so much from this book, and you've included so many different connections to tarot and symbology and mythology, and just
Mhm.
like all of these different elements are there, but it's presented in a way that's super accessible and super
Mhm.
fun. And
Yeah.
like I said, it's been an entry point for my kids to really connect with tarot and the
Mhm.
storytelling aspect of it. And it's joyful to read, and I think there's something to be
Yeah.
said for that. Like technical writing has its place and
Mhm.
is great, but
Yeah.
this is really special because it has yeah, all of those, it has the joy, you know what I mean? And I think that that is super important. I also love that you've included spreads with all the major
Mhm.
arcana.
Ooh,
Like,
I love
it's,
creating spreads, so I was like,
yeah,
this book needs to have a fat ton of spreads. Just spreads
yeah.
everywhere. Panda spreads.
Oh, I love it. Like the mushroom forest for the hermit card is,
Ooh,
like,
that
all
one
of
is
them are
very Ghibli
amazing.
inspired.
Yeah.
Valley of the Wind, they have this whole mushroom forest.
Mhm. Yes.
I don't know if it's the psychedelics or, or just like shrooms, but I don't know. I just feel like Hermit has a lot of mushroom vibes. Like I just
Yeah.
picture him in a iridescent mushroom forest, kind of like Avatar, the sci-fi, like with the
Yeah.
whole glowing forest type of
Yeah.
situation. That's how
But
I
I love that
envisioned Hermit.
again. Yes, because the hermit, there's that sense of escaping into the woods and introspection
Mhm.
and reclusion and all of that. And I love that that's represented in that, because when I think of wandering through the woods, I immediately think of like little mushrooms sprouting on trees and in the midst of,
Yeah.
falling down in the stump,
Hmm.
and there's something very
So you start
Yeah,
noticing the little things in the corners of the
yeah,
wood.
yeah.
It starts becoming
Exactly.
clear to you, which is very hermit vibes.
Because you could easily walk by, but it's when you stop and start noticing those details that it really opens up your
Mhm.
understanding of your environment and what's going
Mhm.
on around you. Oh, I
Yeah.
love this one. I just ended up opening here to the Suit of Cups and a million panda hugs. I haven't actually
I
tried this spread yet, but it looks amazing. Like this is, yeah, that's amazing.
I wanted the water pandas from the Suda Cups to just be
Mm.
absolute heartthrobs. They're
Oh,
just
I
there to
love that.
love you and show you how
Yeah.
amazing you are and to give
Oh, I
you
love that
like
so much.
gentle hugs. I mean, all the pandas give good hugs, but especially
Yeah.
the water pandas.
Oh, I love that so much. Yeah, like again, there's such a nurturing and nourishing energy to this. It's really, really special. I'm a huge fan of all of your decks, but the pandas in particular, like they really pull me in. If I'm struggling with something and I need a deck that's gonna really support me with self-love, self-compassion, all of those tough things, that's what I immediately reach for because it does really provide that beautiful support, which is so
Yeah.
amazing.
I think there's
I just
something precious about pandas because, you know, when you look at pandas in real life, they just kind of melt your stress away. It's
Mhm.
almost like they could just they just melt your ego away as well.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
like, I don't know, like just compared to other animals. I mean, I love all animals, but pandas
Mhm.
especially, they're just something precious about them. I wonder if it's because they're in
Mhm.
danger and then, you know, on the
Mhm.
collectively energetic level, they're very protected. You know, they're in
Yeah.
sanctuaries and stuff. So they have that precious energy. And
Yeah.
I think that's why it speaks to the inner child so well because our inner child is precious and it's like we our adult self has to be a
Yeah.
space for our inner child self and be create that safe space because a lot of the wounds that we carry our inner child carry is because of feeling unsafe and feeling wounded and
Yeah.
not feeling like they're supported, etc. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
And
I love that so
sometimes
much.
I deploy pandas in my like email correspondences because you know sometimes like people, let's say they don't receive an order and they're wondering where it is, they're really stressed out. I usually make
Mhm.
sure that I send a bunch of panda emojis and pictures.
Yeah.
That makes things go a little smoother for both of us.
Oh, it's instantly soothing. Like you can't
Uh-huh.
see a panda rolling around with bamboo and feel angry or frustrated or mad.
Right?
Like it's not physically possible because
It's
they're
like,
so sweet and
yeah.
playful and it takes you out of yourself, you know? And yeah, exactly. I love it.
So
It's yeah,
good.
it's something really magical about that.
Mhm.
It's lovely. Oh, that's
Yeah, I
great.
love pandas. I think pandas
Yeah.
are a little misrepresented. I don't like
Mm.
to say in the West, but in the West, they're a little misrepresented because they're associated with the Asian culture. Like, I was just like, I made a reel kind of talking about this, saying like,
Mm.
usually when you see pandas on an oracle card or tarot card, the keyword is balance because they're black and
Yeah,
white. But if you really look at
yeah,
pandas, they're more carefree and playful
yeah,
and
yeah,
which is kind of funny that that's not the keyword on pandas. I think it's also like collectively we have this, we're in a hyper productive culture
yeah,
and play and leisure and rest. It's not something we consciously want to work on because we
yeah.
associate being productive and busy as valid and
Hmm.
successful, all that jazz.
Yeah,
That's actually like that's I want to mention like you know I was saying how like embarking on this journey with the pandas is just never ending. Like I went through this whole period of being overwhelmed and stressed out in the past couple of months and I was like this is a problem. I don't want to live like this. And then Panda
yeah.
kind of sneaked back in and then it
Oh,
made me realize like one of the most potent medicine from panda like from the panda spirit is actually play and leisure. It's actually
yeah,
enjoying resting. You know how a lot of
yeah,
us we rest so we could work again,
yeah.
but
Oh,
you
I
it's like
love
well,
that.
yeah, so it's like pandas are
Yeah,
just they enjoy eating, they enjoy resting, they're so like body positive,
yeah,
they're like I don't have to be busy to be valid. I could just like lay here and do nothing and still have a good
yeah.
time. And I think that's what we need. I think,
Mhm.
I don't know, I think pandas have a lot to offer us, especially for like overachievers, perfectionists.
Yeah. I'm a reforming type A, and I'm like internally cheering at everything you just said because
Yeah,
honestly, like
this
I
is
think
so
that's why I'm so
unrealistic.
drawn to this deck because it does embody all of those things, and it embodies that sense of rest, not because it's a goal, but because it's something that you do for yourself, you know. And
Yeah,
the whole idea, I don't see pandas as balanced. Like I think that whole black and white, it's an indication of how much we compartmentalize and translate everything into a binary of it's either or. And I
yeah,
love the
I think
idea
so.
of, yeah, when I think of pandas, I immediately think of play. I think of
Mm,
nurturing. I think of, you know, whimsy, like all of those things. And maybe
mhm.
there's some balance incorporated in that somewhere, but that's
Yeah.
not the goal. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, yeah, I love that you've incorporated so much of that into this. And I've been, yeah, like I said, I've been doing a lot of inner child work, and I feel like these particular decks really embrace that, you know, because it is that, um, yeah, like I said, reforming type A. So engaging with that inner child work and that sense of play can be really difficult. And I think
Mhm.
having tools at your disposal that allow you to engage with that, whether it's a quest and
Yeah.
reminding you of your Mario days when you're a kid for me, or Sonic the Hedgehog or whatever it is, you
Oh
know,
my God. I love
let's
Sonic.
go. Oh my gosh, yes. We just watched the movie with our kids a little while ago, and I was just like, oh, this is my childhood all over again.
I'm so glad they fixed Sonic's face. Have you
Yes.
seen pictures of I think they try to make it more like a hedgehog, like in real life.
Okay. Yeah,
And
yeah.
all the cartoon fans are like,
Don't mess with the classic.
what you do with his
I know it was. I really appreciated the end result because I hadn't actually seen any of the early face footage or anything, but I
Oh,
appreciated
don't
what they ended
Google
up
it.
with. Because
Don't Google it. Look it up. It will ruin your childhood.
oh my gosh, yeah, I'm glad they fixed that because you can't mess with that. It's just not right.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I'm just checking time. Yeah, so we're good. I just wanted to know for everybody who's watching, I'm sure many people already know where you're at on Instagram. It's at Fables Den. Where else can people find you and your courses and your decks and all of this wonderful stuff that you've created?
So you can find everything just under Fables Den. I'm
Yeah.
Fables Den on Instagram. Fablesden.com is my website. If you want to buy the decks, it's fablesdenshop.com. I recently switched to Shopify. I
Okay.
recommend Shopify if you're like thinking of going to e-commerce or if you're looking
Yeah.
for like a website. And I'm Fablesden on YouTube, but it's been a little like tumbleweed. I haven't
Yeah.
really worked on it. It's always been one of my goals to like grow my YouTube channel, but it's just
Yeah.
currently a little dead. But there's some good stuff on there about
Yeah.
gamification and tarot as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, everything is Fables Fan. I'm Fables Fan everywhere. I'm not on Twitter because I babble too much for Twitter. Like it's not enough for this chat about.
I heard you. What is it, 150 words or whatever?
I
I'm
know.
often not that succinct.
Yeah, no, it's characters, not even words. Like why?
Why
And
would you do that? I
Instagram,
mean,
right? An Instagram post has like 2,000 something characters, and that's like barely enough. Like I go overboard a lot of times. I have to trim it down. I'm just like,
yep. Oh my gosh, me too.
what?
Yeah, just anything less than that just would be a travesty. So yeah, I haven't ventured onto Twitter for the same reason
Uh-huh.
because I just can't. Oh,
Yeah, I
that's so
tried
funny.
Twitter, but it was just like
Yeah, I didn't
it
even
felt
get
like
that far.
censored. It
I
felt like
didn't even
censored.
set up an account. I'm like, I just can't. Well,
I
thank you
just
so
think,
much for joining me for this. This is amazing and chatting everything through. And I'm super excited about the new edition and the new guidebook and just everything that you're creating. It's really fantastic and
mhm.
much appreciated from those of us that are purchasing your decks and courses and using them. They're really fantastic tools. And I'm very appreciative of all the love and care that you've put into everything you've created. It's really special. So
Thank you.
thank
Thank
you.
you for having me here, and thank you for inviting
Oh,
me to. I'm
yeah.
always down for gushing about my decks. That sounds kind of gross, right? I'm a
No,
creator, and I love talking about what I
yeah.
do.
No, it's wonderful. That's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm watching
So thank
my,
you for holding this space
oh my
for me
gosh,
to
yeah,
speak
it's been
out
an
about
absolute
creation.
pleasure. Yeah, it's been exciting hearing more about your process and
Mhm,
approach and new things in the works, which is
mhm.
always exciting. And yeah,
Yay.
thank you so
Yay.
much.
Oracle coming.
Oh my gosh, can you reveal anything about it, or is it all under wraps
Mhm.
still?
It's I've been talking about it. So basically, Way of the Panda Tarot is getting a sibling, Way of the Panda Oracle, and it's gonna be I guess I can tell you what the title is. It's gonna be called League of Pandas. Temporary, might change. So League of Pandas, the idea is that this is the deck of heroic pandas, kind of like the Avengers, but every single
Ah,
card is like a member of that league, and they all have their heroic superpowers.
oh, I love
Um,
it.
and it's very much based on the idea of like kind of like superhero. It's very like superheroic. They're super pandas,
Yeah.
and it's very like I think the energy of this deck is very much like action oriented,
Mm.
manifesting, very
Oh,
dream
I love
energy,
it.
make it happen, and also lots
Yeah.
of playfulness, lots of story. Um, yeah, I'm really excited. I'm working on it with my artist Celia right now. We're like
Wow.
I think we got like maybe 7 or 8 cards done.
Oh
So
my gosh, that's amazing. That is so exciting.
yes.
Oh, that just made my day. I'm so thrilled. The first thing I thought of when you said that was like Justice League and like, yeah, all of the
It's
whole
definitely
superhero
that vibe,
thing.
but with
Yeah.
pandas.
Oh my gosh, that's perfect. That's absolutely amazing. I'm just
Uh-huh.
watching my a wasp somehow got in here and my cat is currently stalking it and I'm trying to figure out
Uh-huh.
kind of distraction she's gonna break. I'll just bring her on to this is Cassie.
Hey, Cassie. She was like,
Scrap
I
lady,
don't
I
want to
want to
be
kiss
a
that leg.
cat. She was like, I don't want to be alive.
Oh my gosh, she's quite the hunter. She
Uh-huh.
hunts spiders and flies and all kinds of stuff. Oh, it's not a wasp, it's actually a fly, so she can go at it. I
Uh-huh.
always worry with wasps that she's gonna end up getting stung if she ends up attacking one. So
I
yeah,
know.
it's
I've
a
seen like
survivor.
pictures on social media where cats or dogs they swallow a bee and their
Yeah,
throats swell up. I'm just like, oh my God, I hope that never happens to my cat. My
that
cat is pretty
terrifies me.
smart, but he's also very dumb at the same time. You know how cats are, right? They're like smarty pants, but
Yeah.
sometimes they're just like you question their intelligence.
Well, I have
Like, can I leave you alone or not?
oh
Like,
my gosh. I've got a 7.5 pound Chihuahua Terrier mix, and the difference between him and Cassie or Cassiopeia actually is like night and day. Like it's amazing the difference. Like as codependent as he is, she's like fiercely independent. And like, but we just a little side note, we recently found these little squeaky mice at the dollar store. And we brought them home for Cassie, and then Pippin stole it and ended up putting it in his den. And he's like now guarding it with his life. So it's hilarious to see them like duke it out over the toys that come into
oh
the
my
house. We assume it's going to be for her, and then he decides like, no, I'm co-opting this, and no one
God.
else is going to get it because it's in my den now, so it's in my lair, and it's just like, oh my
I
gosh,
love that. I
he
love
has a
seeing
strength.
animals interact with each other. I
Yes.
only have
Oh
one
my gosh.
cat, so
Yeah.
I don't have the opportunity to really see that in my house, but
Yeah.
I would love
Yeah.
to get a second cat. I don't know how my cat feels about that. I think he's like, but I want to be your only child.
Yeah, it was definitely a process. I'm looking at Pippin sleeping on our bed right now, but it was definitely a process for him because he was used to being the
Mhm.
center of our universe for like over 3 years.
Yeah.
And then we brought this little kitten home, and she was 1.25 pounds when we first brought her home, and she had
Mhm.
upper respiratory, so she was super sick, and it was
Mhm.
this whole process. And we took about 3 months, maybe longer actually, before we actually let them close to each other because I was so worried with her being so tiny.
Mhm.
So she actually has this little like cat yurt that we set up in our living room, and she's
Mhm.
such a creature of habit. She still needs to get her wet food in the yurt at a specific time in a specific
Mhm.
location. I've tried feeding it to her elsewhere, and she's like, no, no, I'm gonna take it right where it is.
I like how cats are just like it's time
She
to
actually,
go.
oh my god, she comes into the kitchen and we have our little coffee station beside the fridge, and she
Huh?
actually comes in and inspects the whole process.
Mhm.
And I've offered her some of the food on the back of the knife, but she doesn't want it. She'll sniff it, but then she's like, no, I don't want that. It has to be in my bowl and has to be in my yurt and in my location. And you need to do it now because I'm waiting.
So particular. My cat is a real princess too. He's a dude. He's a male cat, but he definitely has an inner princess. I think all cats do, really.
Oh, I
They
think
all think
do.
they're royalties.
They're
And
split
you're
between
there.
princess and queen archetype, whether they're male or female. I feel like it's like totally that like. Yeah.
I know, like my cat would just like he knows where I keep the treats. He would just sit down by the shelf where I keep the treat and just look at me like,
Come on now.
yeah. Because you know, some cats will come like ask you and they'll like rub against you and they'll paw you and stuff. My cat just sits there and like,
Okay, I'm ready now. Where is
yeah,
it?
he knows he's spoiled. I mean, I just can't ignore him. He knows he's spoiled. I remember talking to a pet psychic, and then she just like, because I live with my mom and my brother.
Yeah.
My cat is scared of my brother, and then he just like, I don't know what is with the dude. Like he moves so fast. The girls in this house are so easy. I was like, excuse me?
I wish I could get inside her brain sometimes and see what her thought patterns are because some of the stuff that she ends up doing is just like, oh my goodness. And the same with Pippin, and they're so different. So it'd be really entertaining to have a running commentary from the two of them at the same
Mhm.
time because their perspectives would be like so radically different.
Mhm.
Have you read, there's this amazing comic book series, well, I guess graphic novel series called Breaking Cat. Oh yeah, there's Pippin. He's on high alert because anytime anyone comes into the house, whether it's us or someone else, and actually Cassie will sit in the window and growl at anybody who comes close to the house too. So they're both very protective. But there's a graphic novel series called Breaking Cat News. My
Never
kids
heard of
found it
it,
on
but that
Happy News.
sounds really interesting.
Oh my God, you would love it. It is basically
Uh-huh.
from the perspective of these, like, I think 3 cats that live in a house together, and it is just amazing. It's so funny. Like,
Okay,
if
I
anyone has
gotta
ever
look that
owned a
up.
cat, it's
I
like
love animal
amazing.
stories and animal
Yeah.
comic books
Oh,
or whatever.
and even the drawings in it are perfect, and like just the interactions with adult. Like, I was laughing out loud when I read it. So definitely check it out. I can't remember who the author is, but it's called
Okay,
Breaking Cat News, and I think
Breaking
there's
Cat News. Okay.
3 or 4 books now. My kids have it on
Mhm.
Epic Reads, and they just are
Yeah.
obsessed. It's great, but well worth a read for sure.
Mhm. I'll check those out. That sounds really fun.
Yeah,
Mhm.
awesome. Well, I should jet, but cheers. I've got my matcha with me. I know you're a
I
fellow
got
tea
water.
drinker.
Well, I
Cheers.
finished the tea. Now I'm drinking water. Mhm.
Awesome. That's wonderful. I've become
Mhm.
much more of a coffee drinker through COVID, but I still have a
Mhm.
soft spot in my heart for matcha and tea.
Mhm.
Awesome. Well, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the weekend, and thank you so much for joining me. This has been an absolute blast. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
Oh, my pleasure. And it's so nice to see your face. Like, it's so funny with COVID. It almost feels like in person now when it's
Yeah.
virtual, you know, because you're actually seeing someone's face. It's like, it's
Mhm.
amazing.
Mhm.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, take care, and I will talk to
Take
you later,
care.
and thanks again.
All right, talk to you
Bye.
later. Bye.